Big Hairy Audacious Goal, a BHAG.
As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights.
I have had multiple sessions this week from the North Woods of Minnesota with teams around the country, and we've been talking about BHAGs and why they're important, and how you can tell if you're getting close to what I believe is going to be a quality BHAG. All right, so BHAG was originally coined by Jim Collins, Big Hairy Audacious Goal. And what he found in his studies was that comparing other organizations to like types of organizations across the board, the ones that had really big, simple, huge, clear goals that, and it could be 5-10 years out, they can be audacious as hell. Those companies outperformed other companies in their industry consistently. And the reason for this is that you're giving your entire organization a clear understanding of where they're going. This helps put that direction on how we're getting there. And candidly, I love it. The bigger we can get, the more audacious we can create these BHAGs. It actually becomes a forcing device to say no to all the other distraction and all the other noise that comes out of this. Now, I don't know how many times I've done this exercise, hundreds and hundreds of times with people, but through this process, there's a few key things that always seem to resonate and really land with those people, and that's what we're going to hit today. So when we start talking about these, some very basic ideas of what a great BHAG would have been. I love to start with the idea of President Kennedy, 1962. Russians were kicking our butt in the space race, and Kennedy said, you know what? We are going to do what's hard, not what's easy. And we're going to send a man to the moon and back safely by the end of the decade. At the time, that meant 8 years. We're going to take 5% of our GDP. We're going to put it towards that, and we're going to do it. We're going to send somebody back, out and back. Now that was insane. We had no idea how to do that, how to handle that at all. But what it did is it mobilized an entire country behind this one directive. It mobilized a tremendous amount of money. 5% of our GDP then was very different than what it is now, but still it was huge. And then we said, we're going to do this out and back and safely by the end of the decade. Now, he wasn't an astronaut, wasn't in astrophysics. How are we going to do it? I don't know. That's what we're going to do, though. That's one of the biggest challenges I have right there, is helping my entrepreneurs who have to know how they're going to do it, that they have a clear path. They know what the direction is and how we're going to achieve it, without they have to have the trust that no, we're going to throw that out there and we're going to figure it out, and we don't know how we're going to get there, but we know that it will become the forcing device that will force us to start figuring out how. Now, some other benefits of this, and using Kennedy as an example again, I think it was about 5 years later, he was over at Cape Canaveral, and there was an older gentleman walking around and he was pushing a broom. And he walked up to him and said, hey, my name is JFK. I'm the President of the United States. Tell me, what's your name and what do you do here? And this older gentleman looked at him. And he said, sir, my name is so-and-so, and I'm helping put a man on the moon. I used to not be able to say that without crying. To me, that is so emotional. This person wasn't pushing a broom. He wasn't keeping things clean. What he was doing is he was contributing to a success that was so much bigger than him, that it got him pumped and excited about what he was doing. And he did the very, very best job he could, because he knew his contribution was going to have a massive impact in the long run. That is beautiful. When everybody in your organization can be crystal clear on what the BHAG is, and they know how they're contributing to achieve that success, you end up people working with you, not people who are looking for a paycheck. They're still getting a paycheck, but that's not the primary reason. Now, some other ways to think about this is, it's my understanding that for SpaceX, now whether you love Elon Musk or hate Elon Musk, that's not the debate, but it's my understanding that you walk in to the main room at SpaceX, and there's two giant pictures up on the wall. One is of Mars as it sits today, and the other as Mars as an inhabited colony, an inhabited planet. Now, Whether you love Elon Musk or hate Elon Musk, nobody goes to work at SpaceX because they think it's going to be easy, or candidly, even that it's the best money. But they do it because they're walking in and they're thinking, I'm contributing to that. It is massive. And I've been able to help with just about every one of the organizations I've worked with as we dig into this in all sorts of different levels. There are different ways to look at these things. I remember early Nike, it was 6 guys in a garage with a waffle iron making a different kind of sneaker. And their BHAG, we're going to crush Adidas. What? 6 guys? Are you guys crazy? And there were 12 people. Yeah, we're going to crush Adidas. Then 40, crush Adidas. 90, crush Adidas. And they got to a point that they, as a market brand, were able to crush Adidas. That is just, to me, spectacular that they were able to get there. Now, as you go through this, when you're going through the exercise of BHAG, one of the key things that I'm looking for when I work with a group, and I did this just today, we were working, it's a nonprofit that I'm heavily involved with that I really love, and they have a massive impact associated with eyeglasses and giving them away in the third world. Brand new, super easy. But in challenging the original founder, I brought up the idea that if you do not have a visceral response of discomfort, meaning if you don't feel a little discomfort when you come up with your BHAG, then it's probably not big enough. Because to quote Henry Ford, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're right. Now in this particular case, the original founder, he built an investment bank sold to a government in the Middle East. The guy's really, really successful. But he's been very, very clear and linear in his thinking as far as understanding each step by step by step by step so that he has that clear path. And in this case, we chose that we were going to give 100 million glasses away. That's massive. Now, how are we going to do it? We don't know yet. But we know we have the basic foundation to be able to do it well, so we're starting to go there. But his discomfort, and it was really fun to watch, within an hour from when we had the discomfort to where we moved on and we're talking about other things, he's like, I'm going to have to make sure we do this and this and this and this. But what it did is it started to get to a point where even in this first draft, it was really pushing him to look at things differently. It was becoming that forcing device to say, no, we're not going to give away 1 million. And he's already given away 150,000. We're not going to give away 1 million. It's like, no, whew. Boy, we're going to have to look at all this differently. We're going to have to change how we do it. It's like, yes, that's what we're looking for. That to me starts to say from a leadership perspective, that is a great BHAG. So once you do it, you get that visceral response like, a little weirded out. Fair enough. Cool. Document it. Write it down and put a date on it. We will, blah, 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 by a certain date, achieve this. When you start to put the date in it, it starts forcing your mind to start thinking about, well, how are we going to do this? What do we need to make this happen? How are we going to make this work? What's next on that? I'm not sure. But it gets the questions going and you start thinking of things in different ways. I have done this multiple times with people. I don't know how many times I've done it, but I've had times where people pull me aside, like the owner will pull me aside and just chew my ass out. Like, what on earth are you doing? It's going to be demoralizing. We're never going to hit those things. And then when they start breaking it down, they start realizing, wow, it's a stretch, but I think we could do it. And then a few years later, holy crap, we already blew by it and we need to change it. So you document it and you put a date on it. So in this particular case with my friend Nizar, we set it at 11 days, or 11 years. 11 years out on when we're going to achieve this. It's a big swing, but I think we're going to be able to do it. Now, we're also going to let it set and let it percolate because this is brand new and it's pushing them tremendously. And if you've got a good BHAG, it has that visceral discomfort, you're leaning on it. But I would encourage you to think about it and just let it cook for a month. Come back and revisit it. Most likely in him, it's like, yeah, that's crazy. I think we can do it. That gets me excited when you start to figure that out. And then lastly, once you decide you've got it, it's like, yeah, this is good. We like this. This is who we are. Fantastic. When you know that for sure, then own it. Own it with swagger, humble confidence. Doesn't mean you're an asshole about it, but don't be afraid of leaning in. I worked with a group in the UK, and we came up with something, and they were a bunch of professors for a larger university. And they were not comfortable with what we came up with. In fact, they didn't want to talk about it for almost a year. But then they started slowly talking about it, and people started hearing more and more about it. And they started getting people crawling out of the woodwork that heard about it and said, wow, we heard what your goal is, what your BHAG is, or how can we help? We want to be part of that. When you have a great BHAG, it's going to attract the right people. It's going to repel some of the wrong people, which is good. It'll help you accelerate it. But when you do this, it's going to allow you to start stretching your own thinking, and you'll be able to achieve more than you ever dreamed. So, ideally, you found some good value with this. If you have any questions, please don't be afraid to reach out. I'd love to talk to you. Keep smiling.